Attention! This makes absolutely no sense. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Zander's Facts.
Hello everybody, welcome into the latest edition of the Zander's Facts podcast. I am of course the aforementioned Zander. It is episode 139 of the podcast here on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. Thank you all so much for listening. It is a podcast full of facts we have got for you this week. We are talking soccer because y'all, the summer of soccer is just beginning. We have got two major international soccer tournaments that are happening this summer. One of them is starting on Friday. That is the Euros, the UEFA European Championships in Germany. And then next week, we've also got the Copa América tournament featuring CONMEBOL and CONCACAF, North America, South America. That one includes the United States men's national team, and that is taking place in this country, in the United States. So we are talking about those two tournaments that are happening this summer with our Zander's Facts very own soccer guru, Emma Adams. She was gracious enough to join us for a pretty long fact-filled podcast this week, where we previewed each of the 24 teams in the Euros and the 16 teams in Copa America. We predicted the final standings for the group stage in both of those competitions, and we also went through our brackets to eventually pick a champion in both of those competitions, basically the championships of international soccer in Europe and in the Americas for Copa America. So that is what is on tap for the podcast this week, a very fact-filled podcast. And before we get started, you can follow Emma Adams on Instagram at emma.adams. That's EMMAA.Adams on Instagram. And she is also taking under a new project for Zander's Facts, our very own Zander's Facts soccer Twitter account. That's at Zander's Facts SC on Twitter. Go follow that. And also go follow all of Zander's Facts on social media, including Twitter and Instagram. And make sure to download this podcast to your device. It is how we get the facts recognized for more and more people. Make sure you do that. You can delete it the next day. It is super easy to do so. Help spread the facts. So let's get to the facts we have got this week. We are previewing the summer of soccer, the Copa America and Euros tournaments, including making some predictions from the Zander's Facts Soccer Gang. That is coming up right here as the Zander's Facts podcast continues.
Zander's Facts.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Zander's Facts, episode 139. It is the summer of soccer, and that means we are bringing on our Zander's Facts soccer guru who knows a little bit about soccer, has a couple facts for us, Emma Adams. Emma, how excited are you, part one of the summer of soccer, to commence?
I am so excited. I cannot wait. We are only 3 days away from the start of the Euros, and I'm so excited. Zander, thank you for having me on today.
Oh, of course. We got two big tournaments to talk about this summer. We got, as Emma just mentioned, the Euros, which begin on Friday. So we kind of have to get our facts in pretty quickly. And we've also got Copa América in this country, in the US, which begins later this month. So we will talk about both of those. We are going to preview. We're going to talk about all 40 teams between the two tournaments, all the groups. We're going to predict the groups. We are going to predict the knockout games, and then we're going to predict who is going to hoist both trophies for the Euros and Copa America. But Emma, let's start with the one that is beginning on Friday, the Euros, the UEFA European Championships, which are being played in Germany this year for the second time, or I guess the third time, if you count last time. Because they had the tournament 3 years ago, 2021, it was in about 12 or 10 different countries. I guess it counts for 3. This is the second time it is hosting the full tournament, 17th edition of the Euros. It begins on Friday, which is June 14th, and it continues for a whole month until the final on Sunday, July 14th, and the winner earns a spot in the prestigious CONMEBOL UEFA Cup of Champions game, which Emma is just now learning existed, which
Yes.
is the winners of the Copa América and the Euros, which is dubbed the Finalissima, which is Italian for grand final, which I know because I'm doing my Duolingo in Italian right now.
So what side has the most victories?
Well, they did it like twice back in the 70s and the 80s, and then they just restarted it last time, and it was Argentina and Italy, and Argentina beat Italy.
Yeah,
So,
that was a clear win.
there are 24 nations competing in this Euros. There are 6 groups, and we are going to talk about all of them. Emma and I are. We're going to talk about all the teams, all the groups. We're going to predict who comes out of each group. We're going to predict the knockout games and the final, who is going to win the Euros. As I just said, Italy is the defending champions of this tournament. They beat England in penalties.
And then they failed to make the World Cup the following 2 years. That's okay. They are back in the Euros this year, so we'll see what they have.
They are big time stuff. So let's talk about all 24 teams. Emma, we're going to go alphabetical. Start with Group A. Let's start with Germany. The hosts, who have their manager, Julian Nagelsmann, the former Bayern Munich manager, who was actually offered the job because Bayern Munich fired Thomas Tuchel, and they couldn't really find a replacement until they found Vincent Kompany.
Look how that's going to...
So Nagelsmann said no to Bayern Munich, so he is still at Germany, and this is a team who has struggled recently, but they still have a lot of star power, including Champions League winner Antonio Rudiger at Real Madrid, Champions League runner-up Nico Schlotterbeck in defense from Borussia Dortmund. You've got the pairing of Jamal Musiala and Florian Wirtz, and of course, King Kai Havertz up top. Toni Kroos is also set to play his final games as a pro in this tournament, and Jonathan Tah is going to help cover up what is likely the team's biggest weakness, which is defense, after he had an incredible year at Bayer Leverkusen. I know we're not talking about club soccer, but Leverkusen only lost 1 game the entire season in all competitions. That was pretty wild.
To be said, one of the most important games, but anyway.
Well, yeah, the Europa League final. But Emma, Germany, they got a lot of star power, but they haven't put it together these last couple of years. What do you think they could finally do that this year, though?
I mean, them being in their home country is just such a big advantage, especially with all the passionate fans that we're going to see. And their group is hard, but I don't really see any of the other teams getting the best of Germany at home.
They haven't lost this year, and they have not advanced out of the group stage of a major tournament since the Euros of 2016. They didn't get out of the group last time in this competition, or in the last 2 World Cups. Who picked them to win the World Cup 2 years ago? Nobody on this podcast.
These are not Zander's facts.
They were still struggling even up a few months ago, but they haven't lost this year. They've also got guys like Leroy Sané, Ilkay Gundogan as well. One of the most talented teams, you would probably say. They have a FIFA ranking of 16, which is highest in the group. The other 3 teams, Scotland, who is a part of Great Britain, if I am not mistaken. They have never gotten out of the group stage, though, in the Euros. They do have a good shot, though, if qualifiers are any indication, because they got its most wins in an 8-game qualifying group ever, including a home victory against Spain. That's pretty good. And Aston Villa's John McGinn has been the most reliable goal scorer. He scored 16 career goals for Scotland. And Scott McTominay of Manchester United is another dangerous option for your friends to the north, Emma Adams.
Yes, I mean, don't forget you have one of the best captains, Andy Robertson, on that team, who carries his Scots all the way. And then you also have Tierney, who's quite good. It's not a bad squad, but I don't think they're going to be better than Hungary or Switzerland, really. And
Oh,
that's because Germany's at the top, so I'm thinking of who who they could compete with, but I don't see them really competing with either three of these teams, unfortunately. I think they're a passionate team and they have a few key pieces, but as a whole they're lacking some players, so
Scotland has the lowest FIFA ranking actually in this group at 39. And Scotland and Germany, the two first teams we talked about, are actually the two oldest teams in this competition, which for one of them still might be okay. The other one, I don't know. Scotland, I kind of agree with you there. Let's go to Hungary, though, as you just said. Their best Euros finish ever was third in 1964. Ever since then, it hasn't been too good. But they have secured at least a draw in 13 consecutive matches before they dropped a friendly to Ireland last week. But that run did include just 4 matches against teams in this competition: Serbia, Turkey, and the Czech Republic. Yet, I'm hoping you can tell me about this player, Emma Adams, Dominique Szoboszlai.
good enough.
He had a pretty good debut season at Liverpool, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say the first half of the season was a bit stronger for him, and we kind of stuttered as a team when it came down to it, and he faltered a bit, but I think, tough season, and next year he's going to do really well. I think for Hungary, he's been great. He's scored a few goals. He's captaining the team, and I think he really brings energy into Hungary, and I really think that Hungary is a hungry team. They're eager to win. And I think they're passionate, and they, like you said, they've been on a good run of wins despite their recent loss to Ireland. But I don't really see them advancing, being the top 2 in the group.
Well, they did get a big 4-0 victory a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember that one in the Nations League against a certain team who we believe is good, but I mean they lost 4-0 to Hungary, England. England was the team, so I mean, yeah. The last team in this group is Switzerland. Their best Euros finish was last time in this competition when they made the quarterfinals. They were one of the surprises. They knocked out France in the round of 16 on PKs before they fell to Spain in another round of penalties. But their captain, Granit Xhaka, was a key part of Leverkusen's almost undefeated season in the midfield after he transferred in from Arsenal last year. And Switzerland are well managed in goal. They've got 2 really good guys. They've got Jan Sommer from Inter, and they've got Gregor Kobel from Dortmund, who, as we said, just made the final of the Champions League. And they also have MLS alert, Emma Adams, Xherdan Shaqiri of Chicago Fire.
When did he come to the MLS?
Is 2 years? It was a couple years ago, actually. He's been there a while.
He used to play for Liverpool.
Oh. Not many MLS players in the Euros, so we have to take the ones we have for granted. But they're one of just 2 European sides who have advanced to the knockouts of the last 5 major international tournaments. You can probably guess that the other one was France, but that means that the Switzerland side has quality, Emma, against these other teams like Hungary and Scotland who don't have the pedigree that even the Swiss do.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a bit of a fan of Switzerland. I think they perform every time they're given the opportunity to, and in these tournaments they have done well in the recent past. So I have them finishing second in Group A. They've got Shaqiri, Xhaka, they've got Akanji in the back line, Vargas in the midfield. You've got really strong key players who are going to hold the team together, not to mention the goalkeepers, as you said. So I think when they're asked to step up to the plate, they perform, and they're going to finish second this year.
So you got in this group Germany, Switzerland, and then who's 3 and 4?
Hungary, then Scotland.
Poor Scotland. I have Scotland 4 too, actually. Mine are the same with you, except I have Hungary and Switzerland switched, so I have Hungary going through. Actually, though, I forgot to mention this at the top. The Euros, there's 24 teams, but they have a round of 16. So the top 2 teams out of each group would only be 12 teams. So the 4 best teams based on points also advance. The 4 best third place teams also advance. So third place team of this group could also advance.
Yeah, I had Hungary going through as a third place, but it's we'll have to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I got Switzerland going through too. So this group starts off the tournament. Germany hosts Scotland on Friday, first game of the tournament at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 p.m. for you Brits. And all the matches in the Euros are on Fox or FS1 on TV in the US. Let's go to Group B, which is, according to the FIFA rankings, the second hardest group in this tournament. It's the only group that has 3 teams in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings: Spain, Croatia, and Italy. And then you also got Albania. So I think we all know who's going through. Albania, number 1.
Top of the chart there.
Let's start with Spain, though, Emma, because to me, this is looking like the group of death. Even though 3 teams can advance, still, this is the only group with 3 teams in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings.
Yeah.
And Spain is the only nation who has won back-to-back Euros. They did that 2008, 2012. That was the golden Spain team back a decade ago. The strength of today's Spanish side, though, is the midfield, like the one a decade ago, even though different players. You've got Rodri from Manchester City. He scored the lone goal in the Champions League final last year, 2023. He'll likely pair with Pedri from Barcelona, who was continuing to improve on form as the season ended. That is where Spain is going to win games. And then you've also got the young wingers, one of whom has been breaking records for his youth. You're going to hear about this name for a long time to come. Lamine Yamal, who was 16 years old, became the youngest ever La Liga player when he took the pitch last season for Barcelona. He was only 15 at the time, which is crazy. Could you imagine being 15 years old and you're not just playing in some soccer game, you're playing for Barcelona?
It's insane. Crazy.
That's wild. He's also the youngest player to ever start in the Champions League and to score for Spain. And he is probably going to pair with Nico Williams from Athletic Bilbao for what could be an incredible breakout campaign for either of them. Yet Spain are the champions of the Nations League, which is the other UEFA tournament. They beat group mates Croatia and Italy in that tournament, but they also have some off-the-field drama, Emma Adams. If you remember from the Women's World Cup last year when their president decided to do a little puckering up with one of the players, Jenny Hermoso. He resigned, and so that's kind of been a cloud hanging over the federation. But still, even with that off-the-field stuff, Spain is still a team to be reckoned with in these types of tournaments.
Yeah, I agree. I've never personally thought Spain has performed the level that they should have in recent years. I think that they have a really strong team, and for that reason I do have them finishing first in Group B. And I think they have some really great players, but I don't see them winning the whole thing, to say the least.
I also have Spain finishing at the top of this group. Oh my gosh. All right. But we got 2 other teams who I think are probably going to be tough for them. One of them is Italy. As we said, the reigning champions of this competition. They are kind of the exact opposite of Croatia when you think about the standpoint of they succeeded to the highest extent possible in this competition. And then where have they been otherwise? They have not been in the last 2 World Cups. That's kind of, well. But their manager, Luciano Spalletti, who ran away with the Serie A title a season ago at Napoli, he was the manager for them. He then comes over to Italy. He replaced longtime manager Roberto Mancini last fall. He has helped the Italians turn around a qualifying campaign. At one point, Italy was not going to qualify for the Euros, and they finally got a good run of form, and they're finally in here. That's partly why you've got 3 teams who are so good in the same group, because Italy kind of struggled during that qualification. Their goalkeeper from Paris Saint-Germain, Gianluigi Donnarumma, he was the hero for Italy 3 years ago, yet he's looked a little shaky for PSG in the Champions League this season. He really struggled against Barcelona in that quarterfinal. The most likely goal-scoring threat, though, is going to come from Gianluca Scamacca. It was kind of a shock last time when Italy ran through the bracket and they won. They beat England on PKs. And it would probably take another improbable run, I think, for that to happen this time too, because they're a pretty good team. But compared to some of like the top teams in this competition, Emma, I just don't think they have it in them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Italy, I mean, honestly, it's a team that falls off your radar when they're not making the World Cup. And to go to winning the Euros in arguably the Euros that England should have won, they had one of the easiest run-ins. But to go from that to not making the World Cup, you get, I mean, a lot of people go cold on you. They don't really think you have it. You have it in yourself. But they've got a few good players. I think they have something to prove being here right now. So I think they're gonna give it their all this year.
Yeah, and we'll see if their good run of form recently can get them out of the group at least, because they've also got to deal with Croatia. I kind of said Italy and Croatia are like the exact opposites, because Croatia hasn't done so well in the Euros, but they've made the last two semifinals of the World Cup. And they made the final in 2018. They lost that one 4-2 to France. They are the only team in the world besides France who has made the last two semifinals of the World Cup. Yet in the Euros, not so much. And they're kind of aging. You kind of think this golden generation is about done. Luka Modric has barely played a lot for Real Madrid. He came off the bench in the Champions League final, but he's 38 years old. He's won 26 trophies with Real Madrid. He has won 0 with Croatia. This is probably going to be his last chance. But you've also got on the other end of the spectrum, the age spectrum, thankfully, 21-year-old Martin Baturina of Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia, who has been called by some as the heir apparent to Modric. So this is going to be his chance for a breakout tournament. Then you've also got Mateo Kovacic, Marcelo Brozovic. They're going to be in the midfield. This kind of crazy because Croatia is a country that has just about 3 million people. And the success they have had these last couple of years has been insane.
Yeah, I mean, to think that Modric has never won a trophy with Croatia is sickening because, I mean, their 2018 run in the World Cup was amazing, was really one of something to be studied. And I love this Croatia team. I think they're really a family. And like you said, it is definitely towards the end of Modric's career. And a lot of these players are getting up there. But so many of them mentor the youth, and you can really feel that community on the team. And I think they're going to perform. I think they're going to want to win for their captain, and they're going to want to see a good performance.
We'll see. They haven't advanced past the quarterfinals of this tournament ever. They made it that far in 1996 and in 2008. And then the final team, the most formidable team, I believe, in this competition is Albania, the 66th best FIFA team. That is the second lowest FIFA ranking in this tournament. But they did top their qualifying group, which included Czech Republic and Poland. They are lacking in household names, you know. The only one that I saw was Armando Broja, and that's because I remember him from Chelsea. And he hasn't really been scoring goals recently. So, Albania.
Props for them to making it in, and, you know, I'm sure they'll give it everything.
That's true. So, Emma, your standings for Group B.
So I've got Spain finishing first. I have Croatia finishing second. And then Italy finishing third, but going through on points. And then I have Albania at the end.
Okay, so I got Spain. I got Italy second. I've got Croatia third, but I've also got Croatia going through. And Albania in fourth. Oh,
Pretty solid.
Even if Albania got a point, though, I think that'd be pretty impressive. That could actually be the difference between the third place team not going through.
Definitely.
If they draw Albania. So, potential to play, spoiler, first match of this group is Saturday at noon. It's Spain and Croatia. That'll be a good one. And then Spain plays Italy Thursday the 20th. Croatia plays Italy Monday the 24th to end the group. And again, those games are on Fox and FS1. Group C is Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and England. We're going to get to England last, though, because we got to build this up for the hype. So let's start with Slovenia. This is just their second appearance in the Euros. They're likely not going to be an easy out, though, Emma, thanks to the work of Leipzig's 21-year-old Benjamin Sesko, who has been linked to a Premier League transfer later this summer, so you might see him in England next season. He got 14 non-penalty goals, and he had an expected goals of just over half that, so he overperformed in front of goal this season. And Jan Oblak is one of the top goalkeepers in this competition, which could prove hard for Jude. Got any thoughts on Slovenia?
I mean, when you look at it, Slovenia's on a good run of form right now. They did beat Portugal even in a friendly end of March, and then they also beat the US in January.
Wait, that was like the C team.
Well,
there was no A team. There was no pulley. There was no, it was the C team.
But I will say, yeah, like I said, good run of form. I think they have a good threat in front of the goal. So I'm interested to see. I don't know much about the team as a whole, but I'm interested to see what they're going to prove.
They've got, by far, actually, the lowest FIFA ranking, but they still are intriguing, especially Sesko, who probably scored a couple goals in this tournament. And then you've got Denmark. The Danes had one heck of a tournament 3 years ago for good and bad reasons. They made the semifinals. We saw Christian Eriksen collapse on the pitch, but he's okay. He'll probably play in this tournament.
Wow.
His Manchester United teammate Rasmus Højlund is going to join him. He had some moments this year for United, and he led Denmark in goals during qualifying for this tournament. You've also got a solid midfield with Eriksen and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Tottenham. That should cause their opponents some trouble, but they're not coming into this tournament on the best run of form, Emma. So time could be ticking for their manager, Kasper Holmond, if they fail to advance at least past the group.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this team and you look at the group, I think this is a team you would expect to advance the group stages, honestly. Because they do have some really strong key players, and I think seeing Christian Eriksen out there is going to be really emotional, and I think, like many teams, they do have something to prove for him, and they want, his memory of the Euros to be something more than it was last time around. So I'm excited to see what they can do together this year, and hopefully they'll bring something good.
And then you've got Serbia, whose best Euros finish was runner-ups back when they were Yugoslavia. They were not Serbia. In 1960 and 1968, kind of like Denmark, they haven't had the best form in this tournament. Their manager is going to be under fire if they don't advance out of the group. Kind of like what happened in Qatar 2 years ago. They didn't advance out of the group. But there are several talented stars. They've got Alexander Mitrovic, who was on Fulham, now plays in Saudi. But he's still been scoring, even though the competition is kind of But Dusan Vlahovic has provided a quality pairing up top along with Mitrovic for Serbia. First game of the tournament in this group is Serbia and England. That could be interesting. I think it could be telling of where both of these teams are. This is the first time that Serbia are playing in the Euros as an independent nation, not as part of Yugoslavia. Something to prove.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they have some threat when it comes to attacking, but we don't know much about their defense, really, and, they can score goals, but can they keep them out of the net is a big question, so I don't see them advancing out of this group.
And then the breakdown we're all waiting for, Emma Adams's thoughts on England coming off a 1-0 defeat to Iceland.
So many thoughts. Honestly, the defeat was so frustrating because they had better everything, really. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And how many times have we said that before with this team? And the management and the players that we put on the field and the timings we do. Clearly, Alexander-Arnold was only put on in like the 60th or 70th minute, but he came on and created the most chances in the few 20-30 minutes he was on. So I do think that he has to start in order for England to succeed as a team. We were missing Belligol, so he's going to bring on a different level of threat to England. I think we are weak defensively this year. You know, we have, you'll never hear me say this ever again, we have no Harry Maguire, which may be a bad thing in our team. Because you don't really have that scene. You need a strong center back pairing, and we're not going to have that right now. I think Stones might be injured. Luke Shaw's injured, but they're still coming. You know, you've got Walker out there, but then you're going to have a young person like Gahey, or, Joe Gomez, who's mid-20s, but he lacks a bit of England experience in there. So I think defense is really what I'm concerned about, and what he's going to do goalkeeping-wise. I hope he decides to keep Pickford in the whole time, but you actually never know with Southgate. So.
Gareth.
And then obviously the big debate is, how do you frame midfield? You dropped the names of Grealish and Maddison, which got a lot of positive and negative feedback. I thought it was a big thing from him to do. He, in the past, he would have never taken a move like that. But when you look at it from the other side, you see a lot of creative possibilities. Those are both playmakers at the end of the day. And Grealish hasn't had a good run of form for City, but in the friendlies, Grealish came on, made an assist. He had something to prove, and he did, and he still didn't get picked. So we'll see. We're also taking a lot of chance in Palace players. We've got 4 Crystal Palace players in the England squad. That's the most of any club team there for England, which is huge for them.
Oh.
So it's going to be interesting. It's a lot of fresher England faces. It's going to be a different team, especially. It's going to be really interesting to see who he pulls from the bench. Is he going to pull Watkins, Tony, Eze? You never know what direction he's going to play in. So I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Because it could go either way. You can put on a performance that's great, or you can put on a performance that was really lacking everything. So I don't know how England's going to do. Everyone says, you look at this group, you think England has to finish first in this group. And if you don't finish first, you're not going far at all, honestly. And it's really hard for me to think of, if we played France, Netherlands, Portugal, even Croatia, teams like that we would beat them. Right now I just don't have that faith in us, but you never know. It's a 50-50 chance when they get on that pitch, so we'll see.
Yeah, I've got England finishing first, so I will see. That Iceland loss didn't inspire much confidence. But when you look at the players you have, Emma, it's like they are one of, if not the most individually talented team in this tournament. Jordan Pickford plays for Everton, but when he plays for England, he's always been really good.
For me, when I look at players, the best team has to be France. That's for me. But England's, like you said, they individually, you have some of the most brilliant, talented players that have been, most of them are in the Prem right now, but that have ever stepped foot on the field. But just as a team, something is lacking.
The pressure is on Gareth. He's been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
His tournament finishes under Southgate have been semifinal, runner-up, and quarterfinal. So it's not like he's doing terrible, but still. And England's never won the Euros either, It's never come home.
There's exactly, but that's the pressure on England, is that, why aren't we winning it? It should come home, and especially with the last Euros, we had the easiest route to the final. We played Italy. You looked on paper, we should have won. We didn't. And, this year it's not as we're not as confident. So, but you look at players. You have Phil Foden, you have Jude Bellingham, you have Harry Kane, one of the best strikers. Like Declan Rice. I mean, it's a crazy team.
I bet it's Kane. I bet if they dropped Harry Kane, they'd win a tournament immediately. Because, he was at Tottenham all those years, never won a trophy, goes to Bayern Munich. They somehow lose the Bundesliga. Yeah. All right, Emma. So do you have England first in this group? Do you have hope in them?
I do, but if they lose their first game, they're not finishing first.
If they lose to Serbia, they got major issues, okay?
They're done.
Like, even
Southgate's fired.
well, during the tournament, they're like, "You're out of here, buddy."
Everyone just pack your bags, please.
Yeah, well, yeah. If they lose to Serbia, although just remember the first game is not everything because Argentina lost the first game to Saudi Arabia 2 years ago, and then they didn't lose another game. They won the tournament, so that doesn't mean everything. But I've got England first, Denmark second, Serbia I've got third, but I think Serbia is going to advance, and I got Slovenia number 4.
Oh, I put Slovenia third and Serbia fourth. And I don't have Slovenia.
Oh.
Sadly.
But yeah, that first game in this group is Sunday the 16th the first game is noon, Slovenia, Denmark, and then at 3 p.m. Eastern is Serbia and England. And then the big game, I think, in this group is Denmark and England, which is Thursday the 20th at noon. And then England finishes up with Slovenia and Denmark finishes up with Serbia. Let's go to Group D. According to the FIFA rankings, the hardest group in this tournament. It's got Poland, it's got Netherlands, it's got Austria, and it's got a little country called France. But let's start with Poland. You've got this group who's headlined by stars like Kylian Mbappe, Virgil van Dijk, but you better not forget Robert Lewandowski, Emma Adams. Robert Lewandowski, he's 35 years old. He's not who he once was. He hasn't been getting on the score sheet and in the headlines as often since he moved to Barcelona from Bayern Munich. So that could be a little bit of an issue. Their best player is kind of aging. But Nikola Zalewski from Roma is another option in attack for a squad who are on an 8-match unbeaten run heading into this tournament. But there are concerns about Lewandowski and his fitness. If he's not able to get to 100% for this tournament, that might be a little issue because their defense is not going to help him out at all.
Yeah, I mean, momentum going into a tournament is always a really big factor, and it really helps you when you get into that first game. But I mean, that is more than your star player. He is your everything player. Like, that is a Messi equivalent almost. And like, if he's not fit, there's not a lot of hope for that team, sadly.
28th in the FIFA rankings, that is Poland. 7th in the FIFA rankings is the Netherlands. And if you remember the last time that this tournament was hosted entirely in Germany, 1988, guess who won it, Emma Adams, that year?
The Netherlands.
Of course. Why would I bring up that fact if it wasn't the Netherlands? They beat the Soviet Union in the final of that tournament, a country that no longer exists. But since Ronald Koeman took over the Netherlands after the World Cup for his second stint in the managerial role for this team, the team shape has been very reliant on Frankie de Jong, their midfielder, and yet he is out of this tournament. He is injured, but they impressed in their last 2 friendly matches. They beat Canada and Iceland by scores of 4-0. And Emma, they have your favorite, the captain of the team, Virgil van Dijk.
I will be honest, I'm obsessed with the Netherlands team. I think they're great, and they have such, I mean, their team is insane, really. Van Dijk, you've got Memphis Depay, you've got Frimpong, Weghorst, Cody Gakpo, Van de Ven, Gini Wijnaldum, one of Liverpool's all-time greats, Nathan Ake, like, Delight, Coat Miners, like, the list goes on and on and on. I'm obsessed with them. I think they have insane, star-studded players. They're such a close-knit group of players who obviously love every time they put that orange jersey on. And they're on it, like you said, they're on a really good run of form right now. And I know that having Frankie de Jong is going to be hard that he's out, but I don't think it's impossible for them. I think they're strong enough where they can lose a key player and be okay.
The big match that I'm looking to, I think everybody's looking to in this group, is Friday the 21st, next Friday, Netherlands and France at 3 p.m. Eastern, because Netherlands played France twice in qualifiers for the Euros. They lost 4-0 and 2-1. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond. Before we talk about France, though, we got to talk about Austria, whose manager is well known in the English ranks, Ralf Rangnick, the former Manchester United manager. Since he took over after they failed to qualify for the World Cup 2 years ago, they have lost just once in 14 matches that they've played since the beginning of 2023, including shutout wins against Croatia, Germany, and Italy. Pretty good group of teams there. They've been playing with more energy. They have no problem scoring goals. Michael Gregorsch, Marcel Sabitzer, Christoph Baumgartner, all of whom play in the Bundesliga, should be the most goal-scoring threats, with Freiburg's Patrick Weimer, a young name to watch, I think, for Austria. Their captain is out. David Alaba, who plays for Real Madrid, is out of the tournament. Yet, he's been out for a little bit, and the results have not waned. They beat Turkey 6-1 back in a friendly in March. And their best showing in this competition came 3 years ago, which is the only time they've knocked out or they've gone to the knockouts. To repeat, though, they're going to have to get through this extremely tough group, I think, in Adams. But like we talk about Germany with the host role, Austria is right there. Like the Austrians are going to travel. They're going to travel right up to Germany. So honestly, Austria are one of my teams to watch out for, even though they're in this tough group. I like their run of form.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they've been killing it lately, and that's a good point to bring up. Their fans are going to be right there, so they're going to have a lot more momentum than we think. And if they can keep it up, they might just go somewhere in this tournament.
And then you've got the big one, France. France is number 2 in the FIFA rankings, only behind the team they lost to in the World Cup final last time that tournament was played. They are the envy of Europe, though, I would say, at the moment. They have been to the last 2 World Cup finals. They won one of them. But the last Euros, they got out in the round of 16. I'm pretty sure that was the first international tournament we predicted on this podcast back in 2021. We predicted the Euros. And somebody predicted France on this podcast. I don't know who that could have been.
Whoops.
That didn't go over so well. So you would have to think that Kylian Mbappe and company are probably going to be a little hungry. Kylian Mbappe had 14 goal contributions in qualifying, which was second most only to Romelu Lukaku. And Mbappe is set for a big time move this summer. He's leaving PSG. He's going to Real Madrid. Oh my gosh. Everybody is like, good for you, Kylian. That is so great.
Oh, I know, as if we didn't know 10 months ago, thanks to Fabrizio. And if only he would make a difference in the Real Madrid team, but they're just going to stay right where they are, the ceiling. So
here we go.
Yeah, I mean, this France team is cracked. Like, there's no. I mean, this France team is basically the Real Madrid of international soccer, basically, because you look at some of these players and you're like, wow, oh, another one. Like, to think that I read something saying they're going to have Saliba as their third string center back is crazy. Any other team he walks in and he's starting. So, I mean, this team is just so good. They have been on a slightly concerning past few games, I would say. Like, they did just draw to Canada 0-0, and that is a game you need to go in and you need to slaughter that team. Like, they should have killed them, especially after, I believe, Netherlands just beat Canada 4-0. So, I mean, you were thinking Netherlands just beat them, now France is going to come in, and they're just going to, same thing. And they didn't. And for the team that France has, any game you don't win is a disappointment.
Yeah, it was a friendly. I'll caution you on friendlies because we don't need to take away everything from friendlies,
No.
But like you were saying, the players on this team is kind of crazy because you got Olivier Giroud. Hey, MLS, he's going to LAFC. But guys like Marcus Thuram, Rando Colomwani, they're all in contention actually to play that number 9. Dembele is going to cover the other flank with Mbappe. In the midfield, actually, their most important player is probably Antoine Griezmann. He might be the most important player on that team because he's what makes everything go on that team. He scored 44 goals for France. And Didier Deschamps, their manager, is the third longest tenured international manager in European history. He's been there for 12 years. He's been there since 2012. There's a reason why he wins and makes World Cup finals. And you've also got guys in the midfield like Chouameni, Adrian Rabiot, Theo Hernandez, and Jules Koundé are at the fullback positions. And then it's all rounded out by my guy, Magic Mike. Magic Mike Mignon in goal. They've got quality, they've got experience, they've got team cohesion. Like you said, France is probably have as good a chance as any to at least get deep into this tournament, to the final.
When you think about Mbappe, if he goes and plays the game that we know he can play and carries France deep and wins it, he is very close to winning the Ballon d'Or. If he can do that, then you're looking at a top 2 contender right there.
If he's like, how old is he? 22, 23, 24, around there. You won the World Cup, you won Euros, 25 Euros. All you have to win is Champions League. And then you have to go over and win MLS Cup. That's that's the big thing you have left.
And the Final Misa.
That's what Messi did. Messi's trying to win everything. He still hasn't won MLS Cup, so he's trying. But Mbappe is coming. So in this group, I do not have France first. I don't have Netherlands first. I have Austria number 1 in this group.
That's not correct at all.
They're gonna get some results. I think they're gonna surprise some
people. They
might
get a result, but they're not going through.
France is number 2. Netherlands is 3. Netherlands will advance. And I got Poland number 4. That's a tough group because in like any of the other groups, Poland would probably advance. But they got to deal with the mighty Austria.
So for me, I have France winning. Then I've got Netherlands second. I have Poland third and going through. I have Austria out. I know.
That's my big risk taker pick right there.
I ruined it. But I mean, France and Netherlands for me, like that's a finals game right there. When they play each other, that's 2 teams I see in the finals. So
that could be really good though. And then France actually opens with Austria Monday the 17th. Come on, like in Dusseldorf. Come on, Austria, you got me there. And then Poland faces Netherlands. And then those final matches, Tuesday the 25th, are Netherlands, Austria, France, and Poland. We will see. Group E, we only got 2 groups left in this tournament, and according to the FIFA rankings, they are the 2 worst groups. I mean, not worst, that's kind of a bad word, but the easiest groups. Let's start. This group has Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine. Belgium, let's start with them, Emma. They're that team who's always been at like the top of the FIFA rankings. They're the only team ever, I'm pretty sure, who were number 1 in the FIFA rankings, and they hadn't won a major tournament. They haven't won the Euros. They didn't win the World Cup. They have never won the Euros. They finished runner-up in 1980. And the last time we saw Belgium on the international stage, it was a complete disaster. Because if you remember how that World Cup ended for them, it was rough. Players were quitting. They crashed out of the group stage. They lost to Morocco. Not a bad loss in hindsight. They drew to Croatia. But now they have a new manager. Martinez is out. Domenico Tedesco is in. So far, so good, though, because since his appointment in February of last year, they have not lost a match. They have won 6 games and got 2 draws in qualifying for this tournament. They actually haven't lost a qualifying match for the Euros or the World Cup since 2015. They're actually beasts at qualifying. Tedesco, though, he's done a really good job putting the squad back together, except for Courtois. Apparently, they're not talking anymore. Courtois is not in this tournament for Real Madrid, and Eden Hazard retired. But Romelu Lukaku, I don't have very good thoughts about Lukaku from my Chelsea days, but apparently he's pretty good. He's the team captain. He's going to sit in front of Kevin De Bruyne, of course, one of the best attacking midfielders. The key for Belgium, though, is going to be players like winger Jeremy Doku, who can find Lukaku, because Lukaku cannot create his own chance. You have to give him the ball, and then he turns around and he shoots.
I read a tweet earlier this week about Lukaku, and it was like, Lukaku's the type of guy to score a hat trick and tie the game 3-3 and then score an own goal.
La caca.
And I was like, oh, yeah.
That's right. But this group isn't as difficult as some of the others, so I'm kind of thinking that like they can kind of find their footing in this group and then possibly make a run. Not to spoil my predictions for later, but
I mean, yeah, looking at this, Belgium should run away with this group because, I mean, when you think about Belgium in their prime a few years ago, like that team, that roster was like essentially what France has today. Like the quality of players, and right now they still have an insane quality. You're talking about one of the best midfielders in the world, Kevin De Bruyne. You've got Doku, who plays with De Bruyne. You've got Trossard, who's had a brilliant season for Arsenal. You've got Wout Faes, who's decent. Tielemans in the midfield. You've got a lot of good players, and you've got enough to make a really great team. And like you said, I think this group will give them the chance to find their feet and get comfortable.
Yeah, they are kind of like France, or they were with all that talent. But the difference was France had that team cohesion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they've won tournaments. And Belgium hasn't had that. So far, well, this tournament can change that. They've got a new manager. So anything could happen. Slovakia is also in this group. They won this tournament in 1976 as Czechoslovakia. They are no longer Czechoslovakia. Since they became Slovakia, their best finish was the round of 16 8 years ago. But their manager, Francesco Calzona, he's had a pretty interesting year, actually, because he led Slovakia back to this competition through a pretty good qualifying campaign. And then Napoli, who, like I said, 2022, 2023, they ran away with Serie A. They were incredible. This year, they were not so good. They had 3 managers, and Calzona was one of them. He was their caretaker manager while he was the Slovakia manager, and didn't go so well. He's had some success, though, with Slovakia. Robert Pozanic is expected to lead the attack for a squad that's on the older side, but they're also more experienced. It's not a particularly intriguing squad, though, but in this group, they could still qualify for the knockouts for only the second time, 2016.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say on them, honestly. I think they're a bit of kind of in the shadows when you compare them to other teams in the Euros, and it's honestly kind of good for them. You know, they don't have that insane pressure to succeed, and it gives them a chance to make a run on themselves and prove why they're here.
So you've also got Romania. Romania is 46 in the FIFA ranking. Slovakia is 48th. But in the last 2 Euro qualifying cycles, Romania has not lost a match. They beat Switzerland this time around too. Yet at the Euros themselves, they've only ever won a single match. That was 2000. Do you know who they beat in 2000 in the group stage?
Probably England.
It was England. Oh my gosh, yeah. Their defense has been the shining spot recently, though. They allowed just 5 goals in the 10 qualifying matches, and that was headlined by Andre Burka and Tottenham's Radu Dragusin. And their captain, Nikolai Sanchu, remains their most impactful player. In midfield, they don't have a lot of depth. They've lacked playing time consistently for a lot of these players at their clubs.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're good when it comes to qualifying, but it doesn't always carry, and we see that it doesn't carry here. And the teams that are playing in this group aren't the hardest of the tournament, but they're not easy, and I think that'll show.
And then the final team in this group is Ukraine, who, depending on your allegiances to the country of Russia, you either booed or you cheered. Ukraine has not played a true home game since their war with Russia started over 2 years ago. So, you really can't talk about Ukraine without discussing their off the field situation.
No.
They just missed out on the World Cup 2 years ago. They needed the playoffs to qualify for this tournament, although their group did have England and Italy, so you can't really blame them. And they did qualify for this tournament. So they're pretty deep, actually, and they're pretty talented. If you take a look at players like Artem Dovbig of Girona, he scored the most goals in La Liga last season, a league with Real Madrid, Barcelona, Lewandowski. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Andrei Yarmolenko, he needs just 3 goals to become the country's all-time leading goal scorer. You've also got Georgy Sudakov of Shakhtar Donetsk. He's only 21 years old. He's already drawing comparisons to Kevin De Bruyne, which is not a bad thing. And you've got Alexander Zinchenko from Arsenal. He headlines a stacked midfield. And Andrei Lunin from Real Madrid. He got a lot of playing time at goalkeeper for Madrid this season with Courtois injured. So they're deep, they're talented, and they're going to have a lot of people rooting for him, a lot of casual neutrals, just because of everything that's going on.
Yeah, and they've got Mikolenko in that back line, who's helps lead Everton to a few clean sheets this season, and they had a decent run of form towards the end. But I think this team is good enough to get out of the group stages. And I think that at the end of the day, you're right. You can't talk about Ukraine without talking about what's going on off the field. And all these players want to show the world that Ukraine is a good country and a good team. And, they want to fight for their country, and they'll be doing that on the field.
They only have one issue, Emma. Only one issue. They have a player whose name we like to call Butterfly Boy.
Yeah, they're not scoring any goals with him. I'm sorry.
Mudryk of Chelsea. Hasn't done too well for Chelsea. Really, very interesting how they said, no, bye, Pooley, we're going to get Butterfly. That's all the bad stuff I have to say about Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, in this group, who you got? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I've got Belgium first, Ukraine second, Slovakia third, and Romania fourth.
I got Belgium 1, Ukraine 2, just like you. And then I guess I switched Romania 3rd, Slovakia 4th. But I don't have Romania going through, so.
No, me neither. We're so close to being on the same predictions. We always get 3 and 4 mixed up.
Well, except for the last one. You didn't have Austria. So.
Well, I was right. So.
The final group of this tournament, Emma Adams, is Group F. It is the worst, or it's the easiest group, according to the FIFA rankings. It's got Turkey, it's got Georgia, it's got Czechia, and it's got Portugal. The big one. But let's start with Turkey. They are 40th in the FIFA rankings. Honestly, if Portugal are going to be tested in this group, I think it's probably going to come from Turkey. They've got Hakan Çalhanoğlu from Inter Milan. He was one of the best players in Serie A last season after he was playing deeper into the midfield last season. He's a player who could probably take over a match. He's got the quality. He's got the vision. When the ball's at his feet, he could create chances for that team. They've got several valuable options in attack. They've got Aktürkoğlu from Galatasaray in Turkey. And pay attention to 19-year-old Arda Güler from Real Madrid. Another Real Madrid youngster to know, because they're not stopping. He got 4 goals for Real Madrid in their last 3 La Liga games. So just, watch out.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at their recent friendlies and even some of the qualifiers, they were not on a good run of form. I mean, they just got beat by Austria 6-1.
That's right.
I mean, you tied to Wales. They beat Germany, though, last fall. I mean, you never know if that really means anything. And Croatia in the qualifiers. And I do agree that if anyone's going to give Portugal a run for their money, it's going to be Turkey. Mind you, Portugal should be in a whole nother league when it comes to this group. I mean,
But before we talk about Portugal, let's talk about Georgia. Not the state, the country, the only nation who is making their Euros debut in 2024. This is their first tournament ever since they split apart from the Soviet Union, and they have the lowest FIFA ranking in this tournament at 75. But they do have a player from Napoli, Kvaratskhelia, who is 23 years old, and he's already won the Serie A MVP award, and he has the most goals in the squad for Georgia at 15, just to let you know. Under their manager, actually, Willie Sagnol, they have their biggest defeat ever in history, 7-1 to Spain, but they also have their biggest victory ever. They beat Thailand 8-0. But I'm kind of thinking that they're probably going to get some games like the first one I mentioned and not like the last one I mentioned in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that they are here for the first time, but the Euros are not for first timers. Like, it's great you made it. It's great you took the flight, but you're going right back home, I'm sorry to say, because this is not a beginner's game. This is for the big leagues.
Poor things. Czech Republic, who I have been informed prefer to be called Czechia.
Yeah.
So I'm going to refer to them as Czechia. I didn't know that.
Who informed you?
Google. So Czechia, since they became the Czech Republic in 1992 and they split from Slovakia, they have qualified for every Euros tournament, including finishing second and third. They finished second in 1996. They got to the final. And they won't have a problem creating chances for their goal scorers because they have Patrick Schick from Leverkusen, who tied Cristiano Ronaldo, another player in this group, in the last Euros with the most goals in that competition. And West Ham's Thomas Susek serves as another formidable target in attack. However, they're going to need to keep pace with the opposition because they have a tendency to allow a bunch of goals. So that might be an issue. But they did attempt the most crosses per game in qualifying. They attempted 27 crosses per game across the qualifying matches for this tournament they played. So just watch for Czechia in this group, because we're going to talk about Portugal in a second. You got Portugal, then you kind of got the next tier. But two teams make it out of this group at least, Emma. So I think they have a decent chance.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their team, that it's not a bad squad. I mean, Kufal, Suchek, both West Ham, and then Schick up front. I mean, they've got a good chance. But when you look back at who they played in the past year, no one is really on the level that Portugal is on, and I think that the teams that they've played in the past year just, aren't at the same caliber. But I do think they're going to have a good go, and they're not going to go out easy.
Let's talk about the last team we got left in this tournament. Portugal, number 6 in the FIFA rankings. Former Belgian manager Roberto Martinez is their new guy. And they have a player, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Cristiano Ronaldo. Maybe not recently because he's been playing in Saudi. But he's 39 years old, but he's been dumping goals in Saudi. He's still one of the top names you're going to recognize. They won this tournament thanks to him in 2016. But now he's not really the top goal-scoring threat anymore, even though I was watching a friendly match today. They played against Ireland, I'm pretty sure, and he was dropping in goals. They've also got Rafael Leao from AC Milan, Bernardo Silva from City, Joao Felix from Barcelona. Keep going.
And
Benfica, Joao Neves. You want Diogo Jota from Liverpool. Yeah.
Who in the past 3 games has attributed a goal and assists for 2 goals and
Well, I was waiting to get to him because I was going to say he didn't play in Qatar because he got injured right before that tournament, if you remember. Mm-hmm. Him and Neves didn't play, but there's still going to be some top goal-scoring threats, I think, for for Portugal, I think they'll get out of this group pretty easily.
Honestly, I love the Portugal team. If anyone wants to get me a Portugal away jersey, please, any size would do. I would really like that. The really pretty one, blue and white tile. Just to let the people know. But I really love their team. I think they have a very strong team on paper. They can perform. I think, honestly, I am biased, but in the past friendlies, anytime Jada's come on the field, he has made an instant impact, and he assisted Ronaldo today, and then he scored in the past games when Ronaldo wasn't playing. So I think there needs to be a position for him to start on that field to make the most out of this team.
I just looked up that kit. It's fire. That's a
So
fire
pretty.
kit.
So pretty. It's actually like my favorite kit. I'm excited to see them wear that. But
yeah.
I mean, if anything, maybe their defense is the weakest spot in this team. If anything,
Yeah, but you still got players like João Cancelo. Like,
yeah,
you still got quality players there.
Ruben
They're a
Diaz.
loaded team, honestly.
They really are. I mean, you look at it. They have a 11 you're going to put on the pitch, and you're going to know every player on that team, and it's going to be a lot to handle.
Guys like Bruno Fernandes from United. I mean, they're a team. Their starting 11 could match up with almost anybody in this tournament, and
Yeah,
they're playing in
100%.
a group where I think they'll get through. I got them first in this group. I don't know about you.
Me too.
Yeah. Then I've got Turkey going through, actually.
Me too.
Ooh, very nice. And then I've got Czechia and Georgia rounding it out. So,
yay, we have the same 4.
Yeah, that's like the first time, I think, out of all the 6.
I have Czechia going through.
Oh, I don't. So that's the one thing. Okay.
But we were close.
We were close. I think I have Austria going through instead.
Well, yes, I know that.
It's a big one. So, Emma, those are all 24 teams, all 6 groups. We predicted the groups. Now we got to pick the knockout rounds. We predicted our teams to go through. We got our brackets because everybody is waiting to know what the facts are for this tournament that starts on Friday. They got to get their picks in. So, let's run through our brackets here. Let's start in the round of 16, top left of the bracket, at least the UEFA bracket, is the game which would feature the top team from Group B and one of the third place teams. Mine is Spain and Switzerland. And in that match, I have Spain going through over Switzerland, who is, I think you have Spain in that match too, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. So, good pick, because I have Spain and Poland competing, and I have Spain winning as well, on to the quarterfinals.
Interesting. Next match is the first team in Group A, the second team in Group C. Who you got?
So for me, that's Germany and Denmark, and I'm going home team advantage here. I've got to give that one to Germany under the quarterfinals to play Spain.
I got the same match. I got the same result. Germany. King Kai. Kai kind of let me down last tournament. He's not going to this time. No way. Next is first team from Group F, and then a third place team. Minus Portugal and Serbia. I think. Actually, this is kind of pretty easy for me. I got Portugal going through.
Yeah, come on now. So mine is Portugal versus Italy, actually. That's a good game, but I'm still going Portugal.
All right. And then the second team from Group D, the second team from Group E.
I have Netherlands versus Ukraine. And I'm giving it to the Netherlands to play Portugal in the quarterfinals.
I've got France and Ukraine, and I was like, can I give it to Ukraine? No. I'm going to give it to France. But France got out in the round of 16 last time, so honestly, anything's possible. But
yeah.
No, I got France facing Portugal. First team in Group E, second team, or third place team. I've got Belgium and Croatia. like I told you earlier, I'm kind of hot on Belgium right now. I think they're going to find their footing in the group. So I got Belgium over Croatia. I think Croatia's going to continue their poor form in the Euros.
Interesting. This is where we get a little different here. I have Belgium versus Hungary, and I'm going with Hungary on this one. That's a hot take.
Whoa!
But I kind of like how they've been performing recently, and I don't know. Belgium for me, they don't do it for me anymore. They're just not very cohesive. So
okay, buddy.
I know.
Who you got in this next one? First team in Group D, second team in Group F.
So for me, this is France versus Turkey. Gotta give it to France.
I would too if I had that, but I have Austria and Turkey. And I'm giving it to Austria, my team. Oh my gosh, they're going to make a run, buddy. It's going to be a big one. Manchester United's going to be like, why did we keep Ten Hag? We could have gotten this guy back.
I know.
First team in Group C and a third place team. England for both of us. And then I've got Netherlands against England. And honestly, that's a tough one. I think if that actually happens, I think you're going to be stressing out about that game a lot.
I wouldn't want to see that.
That would be a Sunday, June 31st at noon. But I've got England. I believe a little bit. I got England.
I would have picked Netherlands. I have England versus Czechia, and I'm going with England.
That's a little tough. That's a little easier pick to make, I think.
Yeah.
If they face, but they will if they win that group. That's why it's so important to win that group, because they would be facing a third place team, which I picked to be the Netherlands. But all right, final game of the round of 16. This would be the first game, actually, of the round of 16 being played Saturday the 30th at noon. I've got Hungary, the second team in Group A, and Italy, the second team in Group B. What about you?
It's a good game. I have Switzerland versus Croatia, also a good game.
Ooh, who you got?
I have Croatia, actually. I like them.
Very good analysis. And Hungary and Italy, I like Italy going through. Not as high on Italy as, should be, because they're the reigning champs, but I still got them against Hungary. So, quarterfinal time, Emma Adams.
Mm-hmm.
We both have Spain and Germany for this first game. Yes. I am going to pick the home team. I think that's the difference, actually. I got Germany. Oh, Emma doesn't. Oh, no.
No, I have Spain. The home team advantage can only carry them so far. And I think when they play Spain, Spaniards mean business. And, that's what's going to
happen. That crowd in Stuttgart. Oh, my gosh. Friday, July 5th is when the quarterfinals start. That game is at noon. The 3:00 game that day is...
For me, it's Portugal-Netherlands, which is a great game. I would love to see that happen, but I would be sad because I like both the teams. But I'm going to have to go with Netherlands here. I think they're just a bit more put together than Portugal.
Oh, all right. So I got Portugal-France, and I'm also going against Portugal. I got France winning because I believe in France this year. I picked France to win the whole thing 3 years ago. I said that, and they let me down. They're not going to let me down this time. No way. Next one is, for me at least, Belgium and Austria. And this is where the run for Austria ends, sadly. Good. That's terrible to say. Those poor Austrians. I like Belgium to go to the semifinals.
Interesting. I have Hungary versus France. It's got to be France, and they will be there.
Yeah, that's kind of an easy one for France, I think, if that happens. And then the final one, Emma, is England going through?
This is going to be a hot take. I have England versus Croatia, and I'm actually going to go with Southgate gets fired and Croatia wins.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
because the only reason, not the only reason, but a main reason, is Croatia is one of England's bogey teams. Back in the 2018 World Cup, we lost to Croatia, and we should have won. That England team was a good squad, and we lost. And I just don't think Croatia's a great team, so I don't really see England getting past them in this one.
That's crazy how I have more confidence in England than you. Probably the first time ever. I got England, Italy, and I'm not high on Italy, so I got England going through.
Yeah, mean, if you give England Italy, they are going to make them pay for losing the last Euro. So
yeah, that'd be good though. That's a final rematch in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, I like that one.
So those games are Saturday, July 6th, noon and 3 Eastern. Then we get to the semifinals. Emma, my first one is Germany and France. Oh, I love that. Germany and France. I like the home side, but I like the best team in Europe better. I like France beating Germany.
Yeah, I would have picked the same thing, but I have Spain versus the Netherlands, and I'm going to back the Netherlands on this one. I think, like I said, they're put together.
And then that second semifinal match, you have Croatia and somebody else who I forgot.
The Frenchmen. So France, Croatia, rematch to the final World Cup. France are gonna win that. Yeah, that's that.
I like that. I like that 2018 World Cup final rematch in the semifinals.
That would be nice. That would be peak.
That would be good. I got Belgium and England, and this is where England's run comes to an end.
Oh, come on. If we were to lose to anyone, it's not going to be Belgium.
I got Belgium winning. In real life, if England lose to Belgium in the semifinal, do you think Southgate stays? Because there's reports that he might even just leave on his own volition after this tournament.
Is leaving on your own volition really leaving on your own volition?
Well,
when the fans have asked to have you outed for the past few years. So, I mean, I wouldn't say getting to the semis is a letdown for England with this squad, but it kind of is. So I don't know.
Well, it's better than getting to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, no, Southgate would definitely be fired.
So then the final, for me, France and Belgium. I like Belgium, but I like France more. And Mbappe, and I got them winning the Euros. I got France winning their second major trophy in, I guess it's 6 years.
I also have France in the Euro 2024 final, but I have them playing the Netherlands again. Now, I'm going to guess in the group stages, France gets the better of the Netherlands. As I said, France finished first, Netherlands finished second. But I think in the final, France are going to lose. And the Netherlands are going to win the Euros for the first time since 1988.
Wow. And I had that stat earlier. Last time Euros were played in Germany fully, who won? It was the Netherlands.
So I've been eyeing them a little in the past few friendlies, and I just see something in that team that really makes me think that they can go all the way this year.
Wow. You really like that group. That group with France and the Netherlands.
I really do. I think it's a strong team. And I also love France. I think whoever wins that game really deserves it. I don't think anyone's there wrongly, so but I'm backing with the Netherlands this one.
Oh yeah. Okay. I got France. I must got Netherlands. That is the Euros. One tournament down, one to go. That final would be Sunday, July 14th, 3 p.m. Eastern in Berlin, the capital of Germany, and it would air on Fox. So that is the Euros. One tournament down, one to go. Let's transition over to the 48th edition of Copa América, officially CONMEBOL's tournament, but this year it's a joint operation between CONCACAF and CONMEBOL, including teams from North America and South America. And it is being played, guess where? In the United States for the second time, joining 2016. Does that mean we're going to the games? Absolutely not. It is, but listen, Emma, Summer of Soccer Part 1. It's the beginning of what we got 3 straight years of massive soccer tournaments in this country. Because next year, Club World Cup, there was kind of like a question for a minute there that Real Madrid wasn't going to play in the Club World Cup, and everybody was like, uh-oh, this is now a bunch of teams are going to play. But they are going to play, so it is going to be something, even though I can kind of see why they wouldn't want to, because that's a lot of miles after you've just played a season. Now you're going to play another big competition. And then the CONCACAF Gold Cup, of course. Everybody is super excited about that tournament next year. And then the big one, Part 3, 2026, the World Cup itself. The big one, 48 teams.
I cannot wait for that.
How many games are we going to? All of them? We're going to go to all the games?
And we're going to be in debt.
But that'll be amazing. Canada, US, Mexico, 48-team World Cup in 2 years' time. Today, the day we're recording this podcast, Tuesday, June 11th, 2 years exactly to the day that the World Cup is starting.
That's going to be so exciting.
Good stuff. But we're not talking about World Cup. We're talking about Copa América. There are 16 teams from North and South America in this tournament. We are going to preview each team and the groups, make some predictions, and determine who is going to hoist the well-named Copa América trophy. So let's start in Group A. Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Canada. Canada's first appearance in a Copa América, by the way. So let's start with the defending World Cup champions, Argentina, Emma Adams. They have won the Copa América 15 times, which is tied for most. They've had a lot more Copa Americas than they have Euros, I found, which is
strange.
It's interesting because, like, before they never really set to a schedule. Like, they had a Copa America in 2015, and then they had another one the next year in 2016. But now, apparently, they have this agreement with UEFA, so they're going to have it every 4 years now, like UEFA. So now it's going to make sense. But like before,
finally.
But they've won 15 times. Argentina have. Their most recent was the last edition of this tournament 3 years ago, 2021. Lionel Andres Messi from Rosario, Argentina. He finally conquered his final peak. He reached the mountaintop. He won Copa America 3 years ago for the first time. That had eluded him. And then the next year went to Qatar, finally won the World Cup. Since they won the World Cup 2 years ago, Argentina have lost just once in 19 matches. That was a 2-0 loss to Uruguay. But other 18 matches they've won or they've drawn. This could be, Emma, even though he's left the door open, this could be Messi's final international tournament with Argentina. He's left the door open for World Cup 2026. I hope he plays, because that would be pretty cool, because he's playing in MLS. But it still could be his final international tournament. He's likely going to line up top with one of, if not the most stacked rosters in this tournament and the world. Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez, one of the best players in Serie A for Inter in attack. Messi's no slouch. He's already got 14 goals in 15 matches for Miami this season. MLS is better than Saudi Arabia. And also keep an eye on Manchester United's Alejandro Garnacho, not just because of his name, but the 19-year-old, he had some pretty good moments that I saw with United last season. And then you've also got a man named Enzo Fernandez in the midfield with Alexis McAllister. Oh my gosh, what a guy. And then you've got the boisterous Emi Martinez in goal. Let's hope he doesn't win another Golden Glove, because
no, take it away from him, please.
Who knows what he'll do with that trophy. But Argentina, they're the favorites to repeat, Emma, and for good reason, because they're likely the best pound-for-pound team in this tournament, maybe in all of soccer, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Argentina's been a team to compete with for years and years, and I don't see this being any different, because like you said, their rosters by far one of the best, if not the best in the world. You have Messi, and for Messi, I mean, if he wins this tournament, I don't know why he would stay in international football, because he won the World Cup, he won Copa America. I mean, why would you wait to play in another World Cup when you're not guaranteed to win it all? So go out on a high note, please. But and let the other people win. Give some give other people a chance. I mean, Argentina's gonna be great. It's gonna be. They're always fun to watch, and this tournament, the only team I see them giving any type of press back from is Uruguay.
And Uruguay's not even in their group.
Exactly.
Other teams in their group, I mean, Argentina's number 1 in the FIFA rankings. Peru is number 32. They've won this tournament twice, but not since 1975. That was actually the first year it was called Copa America. Before that, it was called the South American Football Championship. They did make the 2019 final, but their run of form is a little rough. They did not win any of the 6 World Cup qualifying matches that they played last year, and they had 4 losses, 2 to Chile and Argentina. And Paulo Guerrero is 40 years old. He plays in Peru's domestic league, and he's likely their top attacking threat. So I think that tells you all you need to know about Peru.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. It's never good when you've already lost to someone who's in your group recently, so I'll leave that there.
That is true. The other team they lost to in their group is Chile, who won this tournament back-to-back 2015, 2016. They said, we'll just do it the next year. It's been a steady drop-off since then, though. In both those final matches, they beat Argentina on penalties in both of those finals. So Argentina might not give them any mercy in this group, actually.
Yeah, don't let it go to pens.
And their aging squad's certainly a factor for their poor run of form recently. Claudio Bravo is 41 years old, but he's going to start in goal. Alexis Sanchez continues to be their top playmaker at 35 years old.
Something is in that South American food or water, because all these people are old and they're still performing, so... and old is relative. They're not old, but they're old for soccer. Yeah, like you said, kind of been on the decline. I don't fancy them this much in this tournament.
Poor things. And then the team everybody is looking forward to watching. Oh, Canada. Who's their manager, Emma Adams?
Jesse Marsch.
Jesse Marsch, that's right. So, Canada, they kind of going through it for a little bit, because they had John Herman, who was their manager. He did great for them. They finished atop World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF. They called themselves the Kings of CONCACAF, and then they proceeded to not get out of the group at the World Cup, so that didn't go very well. And then apparently the Federation has been considering declaring bankruptcy, because they've been having some big issues in Canada. Herdman left. He's now coaching at Toronto and MLS. And so they got Jesse Marsch. He was formerly of Salzburg, Leipzig, and our favorite, well, not our favorite anymore, we hate, but Leeds United, who was our favorite, Leeds United States. He took the reins just a few weeks ago, actually, so this is like all brand new. They played 2 games, lost to the Dutch 4-0. They drew France 0-0. I don't know if we should take anything from that, but...
I am a Canada fan. Alphonso Davies, go ahead. And you're going to carry this team. I think Canada are going to do well.
I think they're the second most talented team in this group, with Davies, Tejan Buchanan, Jonathan David. They've got a ton of MLS players. But I do think that because Jesse Marsch, who I love, just got in there a couple weeks ago, I feel like it's going to take some time for him to mold this team into what he wants. So I have them finishing last in the group, actually. And I love Canada. I feel like I might have picked Canada to get out of the group in the World Cup. I don't remember, but I'm just not feeling it this cycle, because it has not been going well for them recently. They're looking like they're on the upward trend, I think, but I think it's going to take some time. So my group prediction, Argentina number 1. I've got Chile number 2, and then Peru and Canada.
Mine's a little bit different. So I have Argentina top, and then I have Canada second. I just think they're going to prove everyone wrong. and they're going to lose to Argentina, but then they're going to beat Chile and Peru. So Chile third and Peru last.
I mean, if they beat Chile and Peru, that's all you need, honestly. I think Argentina's going to go 3-0. I think they're going to win all 3 games. I think they should. If they don't, that's kind of an issue.
Then we'll have some serious questions, yeah.
But like I said, they did lose to Saudi Arabia first game of the World Cup, and they won every game since. So maybe don't take anything too much from that. First match of this tournament is next Thursday, the 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern in Atlanta on FS1 and Univision, Argentina and Canada. So we'll see. We'll see if Canada's up to snuff in that first game. Group B, there's only 4 groups in this Copa America tournament because there's only 16 teams. Let's start. We've got Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, Jamaica. Let's start with Mexico because the pundits have been saying all over the place that this is the worst Mexican side we have seen in a long time.
Really?
It's hasn't been too great, and it's continued over like the last 3 managers. They are by far the most invited team to play in this tournament, by the way. This is their 11th time in Copa America. They're the only team outside of South America who's reached the final, which they did twice, 1993, 2001. However, I don't think that's likely to happen again. It was mostly their B team that played in this friendly last week, but they did lose to Uruguay 4-0. That was rough.
Darwizzi hat-trick.
That's right. They did play their top guys against Brazil. Brazil did play their B team. Brazil won 3-2. But Mexico tied it up actually late. But their manager, Jaime Lozano, he was appointed as interim last year. They won the Gold Cup because the U.S. was playing like their B team. And the U.S. didn't make the final. Mexico still hasn't gotten over that hump that the last 2 Mexican managers couldn't get either. And that is beating their arch rivals, which is the U.S. They have not beaten the U.S. since 2019. It's been 5 years now. And for Mexico, that's pretty bad. Their longtime keeper, Memo Ochoa, he's like done, I think, forever for international football. He's not there anymore. Chucky Lozano, who's moving to MLS next year with the new San Diego team, he is not there either. That means it's going to be Santiago Jimenez, who's likely going to be their biggest threat. And he has not performed too well for El Tri. Uriel Antuna and Edson Alvarez are another couple guys to watch. But they haven't gotten a marquee win in a couple years now, M. Adams. It's kind of, after that Uruguay loss, everybody was already calling for Lozano's head as manager. So I'm not too confident about Mexico.
I'm not either, but out of this group, I do think they have a chance to advance.
They do kind of have an easy group. Because the other 3 teams are Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. So let's talk about Ecuador. They are one of 2 South American nations who have never made the final or won the tournament. Hence, the other team is in this group, actually. Ecuador come into it with a good run of form. They lost just once in their 6 World Cup qualifying matches. That was to Argentina, nothing to sneeze at. And their talent's been pretty impressive in Europe. Bundesliga players Piero Hincapi of Leverkusen and Willian Pancho of Frankfurt. They've got a stout defense. Moises Caicedo from Chelsea mans the midfield. And attackers Ener Valencia and Jeremy Sarmiento to watch out for in this group. Ecuador, I'll go ahead and say it. I got Ecuador top of the group, actually, because I think they're coming in hot, and they're playing Mexico. I think they could get a result against Mexico, so I got Ecuador top of the group.
Yeah, I mean, I have them moving on as well, so they could do well.
And the other team that has never won the tournament or reached the final from South America in this group is Venezuela. They are also the only South American nation who's never qualified for the World Cup. They did go into World Cup qualifying with 5 unbeaten matches out of 6, including a 3-0 win over Chile, but we really don't know who could play for them. Salomon Rondon of Pachuca in Mexico is certainly a candidate, but I am not too high on Venezuela. And they've never qualified for the World Cup, so I think you can kind of tell why.
Yeah, I think that kind of says it all right there.
And then the final team is Jamaica, the Reggae Boys. The potential, actually, Jamaica could be a really good team in CONCACAF. They've got players like Damari Gray from Everton, Morgan Gibbs-White from Wolves, Max Aarons from Norwich, a bunch of English players who could play for them, but I will see if they will. But they do have an English player, Michael Antonio from West Ham, who's already made the move, and he's going to be their star player probably, along with Bobby Dekradova-Reid from Fulham. But they do have Leon Bailey, who is probably their star player, who is not in this tournament because he is not happy with the Federation. Apparently they're doing some bad things. So they could be really good. Yeah, because the U.S., they needed a last-second own goal in the Nations League to beat Jamaica. They've won 3 games since. They could be good, but the Reggae Boys. And they have the best name, the Reggae Boys. So
They do. You've got a lot of Brits who could play for the Jamaica team, but, aren't. Yeah, it's a pretty new team in terms of the players, and I just don't see them going that far. Even though they you're right, they do have skill, but they just don't have a team there to play.
yeah. So in this group, as I said, I got Ecuador first. Mexico, I think, will advance. I got them going second. But I think if any team could knock them out, it would be Jamaica. So I've got Jamaica third, Venezuela 4.
That's good. I have Mexico first, Ecuador second, Jamaica third, and Venezuela fourth.
Mexico needs to get out of this group. If they don't, their manager is gone the
Yeah, it's
second they
over for
don't. Ooh. That first match for Mexico is against Jamaica, 9 o'clock on Saturday the 22nd in Houston. That'll tell us where Mexico is. Even if they get a draw, actually, in that match, it's not
Then
trouble.
it's risky, yeah.
Trouble. Group C, we're halfway through Copa America. Group C has the best team! Emma, who is it?
Uruguay.
Oh, yeah. They also have the United States. Uruguay's in there, Panama, and Bolivia. Do you have any comments on the U.S. before I dive into my little diatribe I'm going to say about this team?
Oh, wow. Didn't they just lose?
Yes.
To who?
Colombia?
I like Colombia, but I don't have much to say except the U.S. is overrated. That is what I'm gonna have to say.
Well, I might agree with you actually at this point.
Ooh.
The U.S., yeah, they lost to Colombia 5-1. They lost to Colombia in a friendly on Saturday. I have spoken many times about the U.S. and their manager, Greg Berhalter, on this podcast. You can go listen to all those episodes. So I don't really need to say much about him and what I think about him other than I understand why people are saying, we need to get rid of him now after they lost 5-1. But honestly, just chill out because it's a friendly. And again, it's terrible. Yeah, it never should happen. Losing to Colombia is not bad, but losing by 4 goals in Washington, D.C. is pretty bad, I mean, that's why they lost. They played at the Washington Tommies Stadium. So that's why they lost.
FedEx Field. Thank you, the best stadium in the world.
I mean, the issue is Greg Berhalter's been really good against CONCACAF. His record against Mexico has been really good. But outside of North America, it's a lot more lackluster. They drew Wales and they drew England in the World Cup 2 years ago. They beat Iran. I was on life support in that match because they almost did beat Iran, but they did. But then they played the Netherlands and they looked miserable in the round of 16. They looked miserable back in October when they played Germany in Connecticut. That was a German team they had no clue what was going on, and they lost 3-1 in Connecticut. They lost once again to Trinidad and Tobago last year in the Nations League, even though we still won the Nations League. They did beat Mexico in the Nations League final earlier this year, another Dos Cicero, so we do love that. But it's almost like this team has like this attitude of, we hate Mexico, and everybody else, it's just like, oh, we're playing France, we're playing Germany, oh, la, la, la. But, Mexico is the only team they focus on, which is great. but we need to expand beyond Mexico now,
Agree with
right?
that.
To teams like Colombia and Uruguay, because Greg Berhalter said after that match, his team did not respect the game of soccer.
What are you talking about?
But you know what? He doesn't respect the game of
The
soccer.
rumor has it they started calling it football after that match. I mean,
Well, the Colombian fans did. The Colombian fans who packed the stadium there. That was a Colombian home crowd.
they
But
always
again,
do. Colombia fans travel well.
well, yeah. I mean, you're in the U.S. Like, the Mexican national team is the most popular team in the U.S. It's not the U.S. national team, honestly. So that's, when you're in a country like this, land of the free, give me your huddled, your poor masses, Statue of Liberty. We're an immigrant country. That's what's going to
Mhm.
happen. So they know how to play under hostile crowds because every time they play Mexico here, it's like that. And they continue to beat Mexico. But like I said, Greg Berhalter has a 72% winning percentage in CONCACAF. Outside of CONCACAF, it's 37.5%.
Ooh, boy.
So it's an issue. So and it's not the players. Players are great. Balogun up top hasn't been so great for Monaco, but for the US, he's been phenomenal after we stole him from England. That was a great day. Christian Pulisic played his best season probably of his career this past year at Milan. He was
True.
great. He's probably going to be joined by Tim Weah or Haji Wright, who's been great in the championship for Coventry this past season up top. The big question in midfield, though, is Tyler Adams. He was the captain at the World Cup. He's been injured a couple times since. He's not at full fitness. If he's not at full fitness, how is that going to play out in the midfield? Because you've got Gio Reyna, who's going to play up top. Weston McKennie is going to be in there. Weston McKennie, hold on.
Oh, I read this too. Is it Aston Villa?
Aston Villa.
Yeah.
He was pretty good at Juventus last season, so he might go to Aston Villa. Oh, they'll be my team next year in the Champions League too. Wow. Good stuff. But that's another big question. And then you've got Yunus Musa, Johnny Cardoso, who's been really good for Real Betis. They'll battle it out for that last midfield spot. Tim Ream has been probably our best defensive player, but he's 35 years old. Pep wants him. If he was 24, he'd be playing for Pep, but he's 35. Jedi Robinson is his teammate at Full America, but Jedi did not have the best game last game. That was kind of rough. Serginho Dest, though, he was doing really good for PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands. He tore his ACL, so he is out for a long time. So kind of interesting because Joe Scally of Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga is playing there right now for Berhalter. We've also got Shaq Moore, Cameron Carter-Vickers. And then we have another issue in Adams. Goalkeeper, Matt Turner. You know Matt Turner. We were like,
Yes, I do.
we finally have our goalkeeper, Matt Turner. Oh my gosh, he was doing so great. The issue was he was not playing at all for Forest this year. And
Yeah, I know.
now he's looking really shaky. So now we got an issue. We might have to bring back Ethan Horvath. But we love Ethan Horvath. He solidified that Nations League final back in 2021 against Mexico. So he's waiting in the wings. And then, of course, the Medford Messi, Brendan Aronson, Ricardo Pepi, Luca De La Torre, other guys. So it's not like we don't have quality. This might be the most talented U.S. team we've ever had, but there's one guy in the way. So we'll see. We'll see. They cannot, like, if they lose in the group, Uruguay, okay, yeah. Panama and Bolivia, you lose, you get behind Panama or Bolivia, you need to go yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I'm not going to mention all the stuff that brought him back after his contract expired, and then, oh, let's do this big old search. And then, oh my gosh, we found Greg. And so they hired him again. I'm not going to get into all that. I don't even know if they would fire him if they lost in the group or only made it to the quarterfinals because they have so much faith in him in U.S. soccer, and something's fishy going on in U.S. soccer. Let me just tell you.
What is he hiding? What does he know?
I don't know, but I'm not very confident in the U.S. men's national team right now. I think in the 3 years that I've done this podcast, this is probably the least confident I've been in this team. And it's not because of the players. I love all the players. I think they're quality. But I mean, this is a group that drew England in the World Cup. The way we're playing right now is a bit of an issue. And Greg Berhalter needs to fix it. And we've got Brazil in a friendly on Wednesday night. And Brazil's playing their A team. So pray for us. I don't know how many people are chanting, I believe that we will win. It's our best chant, But
It wasn't many. It wasn't many.
Let's move on. Uruguay. You like your Uruguay. They have Darwin Nunez, and he got a hat trick again in that Mexico game, as you mentioned. And it's kind of interesting because he hasn't been too great for Liverpool. Liverpool have a lot of attacking options. But for Uruguay, under Marcelo Bielsa, let me just say, under Bielsa, Uruguay they've been great. Bielsa was the manager that Leeds fired to get Jesse Marsh.
Embarrassing.
Okay. But Uruguay, they've always been known for being tough, gritty. They weren't in
a bit aggressive.
They weren't in the World Cup 2 years ago, though, so that's why they got out in the group stage. But they kind of got back to that now under Bielsa. They had an excellent World Cup qualifying session last year. They fell just once to Ecuador. They drew Colombia, and they beat 4 others, including 2-0 victories over both Brazil and Argentina. Pretty good. Those are usually the two best teams in South America. And since Bielsa became manager, Darwin Nunez has scored 8 goals, and he produced a hat trick. Luis Suarez, he's 37 years old. He might put his chompers away, but he's probably still going to be a threat. He's scored 12 goals for Miami this season in MLS. And you've also got players like Valverde from Real Madrid in the midfield. Uruguay also have 15 Copa America titles, Emma. So this is, if either Argentina or Uruguay win, this will be the big one where they get that 16th and they're separated from everybody else.
Yeah, I think Uruguay, their attacking front is really strong. And I think, respectfully, some of the competition in this tournament isn't on that level that they are. So if they can bring their A game, they're going to go far.
You're not talking about the U.S., but other teams.
Right.
Of course. Other 2 teams in this group, Panama, who I think if any team threatens the U.S.'s chances of not getting to the knockouts, it's Panama. They made the Gold Cup final last year for the second time. They did fall to Mexico after an 88th minute goal, but they did beat the U.S. on penalties. A diminished U.S. team, B/C team, but they did beat them. Ishmael Diaz was the team's leading goal scorer in that Gold Cup, and Carrasquilla is going to hope to retain possession in the midfield for a squad that, listen, U.S. play Panama Thursday the 27th in Atlanta. That's actually, not to get political, but the first presidential debate is happening that same day in that same city, actually, in Atlanta. That's going to be wild.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared of Panama, honestly. And then Bolivia. Bolivia, 85th in FIFA rankings. That's the lowest in this tournament. So they did win it in 1963, though. That's really all I have to say. Their all-time leading goal scorer, Marcelo Moreno, he retired last year. So their big time chance kind of went out the window. So Bolivia, I've got 4th in this group, Emma. I have Panama 3, US 2, and Uruguay number 1. I think that that last match, Monday, July 1st in Kansas City, United States and Uruguay, I think it's better that it's not the first game and that it's the third game so the U.S. can kind of get in tune playing against Bolivia and Panama. But honestly, at this point, I would say Uruguay wins that game. And I think they go through the group. And U.S. does too, but I think Uruguay tops it.
I have the same for Uruguay, U.S., Panama, and then Bolivia. I think, Uruguay, U.S. will be a good game. Not a great game. Not a great game.
Oh.
Uruguay is going to win.
And then final group of this competition is Group D. This is probably the most intriguing group to me because it's Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and Costa Rica. So let's start with the 5th ranked team in the FIFA rankings. Brazil, They have won this tournament 9 times. Up until Argentina won those couple trophies, they were kind of the kings of South America. Brazil were usually ran things down there, but they're still pretty good. They're probably the second favorites to win this tournament, and they've got a lineup that shows you why. A man, I don't know if you know this man. His name is Allison Becker.
Oh,
He's in goal for them. In defense, Danilo, Marquinhos, Gabriel, Eder Militao in defense. Not all of those guys are going to start either. Neymar is injured. However, I don't think it's going to affect him too much because they have Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Endrick, who in Brazil has been incredible. He's 19 years old.
He's headed to Real Madrid.
Oh, that's right. And they just won the Champions League with Vinicius. So there is a reason to doubt them, though, because they ended their World Cup campaign with a bust in the quarterfinals 2 years ago. And their qualifying campaign for 2026 has not gone exactly according to plan. They'll still qualify probably because it's 2026 and an expanded World Cup, so more teams are getting in. But they lost their last 3 matches to Uruguay, Colombia, and Argentina. Now, those are pretty good teams, but if you're Brazil, you can't lose 3 matches in a row. So now they got rid of their manager. Dorival Jr. is their new manager because Carlo Ancelotti, their Real Madrid manager, said no thanks. They are really, Real Madrid and Brazil are just, they're like this, aren't they? They're very intertwined. Brazil have the quality, they have the history, so I still wouldn't be surprised if they put in a run. But honestly, I don't see them as probably in that top tier of this tournament, honestly, with a couple other teams I'm looking at.
No, I mean, I love watching Brazil. I think they're really fun, and their players have, they have such great players and a full team, so they'll definitely do well. No doubt about that.
They've got Colombia, though, to face in the group, and Colombia might be the hottest team in all the land, not just the Americas.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the world because they come into Copa America absolutely on fire. I'm not just talking about the U.S. win, 5-1 last week. They have won or drawn their last 21 matches. They have not lost since they failed to qualify for the World Cup 2 years ago. That includes winning their last 6, including that victory against the U.S., and they've also beaten Mexico, Germany, Brazil, and Spain in that run. And that's a pretty impressive list. It's honestly kind of crazy because they did not make the World Cup 2 years ago. And right now, headlined by Luis Diaz, I don't know if you know that name, M. Adams, from Liverpool. They're one of the favorites to win it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I like Colombia. I like watching Luis Diaz, James Rodriguez in the midfield. You've got a good lot of players at your hands, and like you said, they've been on a great run of form, and I think they're a close-knit team, and I think they're going to do well in the tournament.
Yeah, that match. Last day of the group stage, Tuesday, July 2nd, in the home of the 49ers, Santa Clara, California, Brazil and Colombia. Might be good stuff. Probably won't determine if any of those teams get out. It'll probably determine who wins the group, but it'll still be pretty good. And the last 2 teams, Paraguay, they won this tournament in 1953 and 1979. Props to them. But they come into this tournament on one of the poorest runs of form in South America. They won just one of their World Cup qualifying matches. They lost 3. They did beat Ecuador by 2 goals in a qualifying for the last World Cup, 2022, but that was the last time they won a match by at least 2 goals. So, yeah. They do have Miggy Almiron from Newcastle United and Julio Enciso from Brighton as their attacking forces. But honestly, with them and Costa Rica, hard to see results coming, especially when you see the top of the group the way it is in Group D.
I agree. Brazil and Colombia are just 2 different beasts there, so.
Honestly, though, if Costa Rica or Paraguay were going to pull an upset, I'd put Costa Rica in there. This is their 6th time getting invited to Copa America, which is more than the US. The US has only been invited 5 times. Los Ticos, they got a couple dominant wins these last 2 games. They beat St. Kitts and Nevis and Grenada in World Cup qualifying. Big time. Keylor Navas, who has been the bane of the US's existence in goal for many years.
Yeah.
He's retired. He's gone. So, I mean,
bad.
thank you for your service, but yeah. So in this group, Colombia, I've got Colombia number 1, Brazil 2, Costa Rica 3, Paraguay 4.
I actually have the same for Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Paraguay.
Oh. Well, I have Colombia number 1, so.
Oh, well, how can you not pick Brazil?
Because Colombia.
But it's Brazil.
They have not lost 22 games.
It's still Brazil at the end of the day. I have to pick them first.
Those are the 16 teams. Those are the groups. Now let's do our knockout round predictions. As we draw this podcast to a close, we had a lot of facts on this podcast. Copa América predictions. Let's start in the quarterfinals. That first match is the first team from Group A against the second team from Group B. Both of us have Argentina, and then I have Mexico. I'm going to go with Argentina. Mexico is going to get out, and I think they'll probably fire Lozano when they do, even though it's Argentina. But yeah.
See, I have Argentina, Ecuador, and I'm going with Argentina as well. Sadly. Yeah, I feel bad. Anyone who plays them doesn't really have a chance.
That game is July 4th, Houston, Texas, 9 o'clock Eastern. I know. We'll celebrate our patriotic love of America by watching Mexico and Argentina.
So fun.
It'll be great. The other match I've got in that quarterfinal is the first team from Group B, second team from Group A. I've got Ecuador, Chile. I'm pretty sure you have Mexico in this match, though.
Yes. I have Mexico versus Canada, which is kind of a good game. And
CONCACAF!
Yeah. That game favors Mexico, so somehow Mexico actually make it to the semis in my bracket here.
Yeah, if I had that, I'd probably go Mexico. Actually, I don't know.
I mean, it's tough, but...
Actually, I don't know. If Canada made it to the knockouts, I probably would take Canada. I don't know. That'd be interesting, though. I'm glad you're repping CONCACAF, because I'm not really repping CONCACAF in this tournament. It's like, CONCACAF is like, please take us into your tournament. They're like, all right. And then we're just
and then no one goes through.
All right, we're crap. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Other quarterfinal matches, though, are Saturday, July 6th. First one I've got, first team from Group D. You have Brazil. I have Colombia. And the second team from Group C, the U.S. And let me tell you, this is very hard. But I don't have confidence in the U.S. And I really hope I'm wrong. But I'm picking Colombia because I cannot trust this U.S. team right now the way they are set up. So,
I mean, yeah, that matchup is hard for you, especially you just lost 5-1 to them. I don't think you're coming back.
Why would they set it up like that? Like, we just lost big to them. Oh my gosh.
I agree. Mine is actually Brazil versus the US. Kind of the same thing. You guys play them tomorrow anyways. Good luck with that. I'm picking Brazil.
Honestly, if the US finish second in the group, or no, even if they win the group, they'll probably play one of Colombia or Brazil.
Yeah.
Why did they pick those two teams for the friendlies?
I know.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Clearly Brazil or Colombia was behind the friendlies and not the US.
That game is in Orlando. Actually, I don't think it matters where it is. Brazil fans are going to be outnumbering US fans. Because honestly, it's one of those things where the US, they always play here. Brazil, Colombia, you never see them play here in the US if you live here. So that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. You're going to shell out the cash to pay to go, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Now, Mexico does play here all the time. They don't play any matches in Mexico except for World Cup qualifying. They play all their friendlies here, and all the Mexican fans still show out. But still, I'm sorry, US. Final match of the quarterfinals. First team from Group C, second team from Group D. Uruguay and Brazil. You have Uruguay and Colombia.
I have Uruguay and Colombia. Honestly, that's a great game. I would love to watch that game. I have Uruguay going through.
Wow. Against
Yeah.
Colombia.
Against Colombia, and I like both those teams, but I think Uruguay's got the edge.
That game would be in Las Vegas on Saturday the 6th at 9 o'clock. The Colombia-US game, or for you, Brazil-US, is in Arizona. So,
Ooh.
thankfully, it's an indoor stadium. So for that Las Vegas match, I've got Uruguay and Brazil.
It's a good game.
I am going with Brazil.
What?
I know.
You didn't even like Brazil that much.
Yeah, but honestly, it's almost like Argentina. They'll just keep bringing out players, you know? And it's like, we can't compete with this.
Yeah.
So I've got Brazil over Uruguay, but that'd be really tough, and I wouldn't be surprised if Uruguay went through either, or if it went to like penalties or something. Semifinals, Tuesday, July 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern in New Jersey at the Giants and Jets Stadium. Argentina and Ecuador for me. Not much of a contest, honestly. Argentina.
I know. I have Argentina, Mexico, and I have to pick Argentina.
Oh my gosh. That's a horrible semifinal.
The other side of my semifinal is very good, though.
Yeah, they really threw Argentina a bone, and they said to the U.S., "We're going to fend you to the wolves."
No, literally, because Argentina could be playing Brazil, Colombia, or Uruguay if they were on the other side of the bracket. That would be so much better.
Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, U.S. all on the same side of the bracket. Other semifinal match is the next day in Charlotte. I've got Colombia and Brazil.
You're going to go with Brazil?
No, I'm going with Colombia. Wow. I got Colombia to the final.
You just contradicted yourself. You said Brazil just keeps throwing people in. It's hard for them to lose.
Yeah, and Colombia can't lose either. One of those things has to give. And I think Brazil they don't have the manager that they want. They wanted Ancelotti. They didn't get him. And it was publicly kind of humiliating. I like Colombia in this match.
Wow, so I have Brazil versus Uruguay, and I, like you, have Brazil going out, and I have Uruguay going to the finals.
So, last game that we are predicting on this podcast, Emma, after many long facts, is the final. This is Sunday, July 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern in Miami on Fox and Univision. That's a double dose right there.
Hold on. It's in Miami?
Yeah.
Do you know how many Argentina fans are from Miami?
Messi!
That's actually so unfair. The whole thing is rigged in Argentina's favor.
You have Argentina and Uruguay.
I mean, the game's in Miami. I have to pick Argentina. Was it ever really a question? Like, it's a great game, though. I would watch it. I think you're going to get both sides very attacking minded. Great game.
Yeah, Colombia, I mean, so many things going against you in that match.
Yeah.
I gotta go. You can't go against Argentina. In Miami, it's not at the Inter Miami Stadium, it's at the Dolphins Stadium. So a lot
it's
more
even
people.
Worse, probably.
Oh, it's a lot more people.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, there's a reason they put it in Miami. I'm glad we agreed there. Argentina. Oh, I forgot to tell you though, but the Euros, Jamie Carragher also picked France. And Jamie Carragher picked Argentina to win the World Cup 2 years ago. So I'm just letting you know.
Dash facts.
All right, okay. That's like a double dose right there. Sunday the 14th, you've got the Euro final at 3 o'clock. You've got the Copa America final at 8 o'clock. Great day of soccer. Oh my gosh.
Guys, and we're not even getting into the other sports. We have the College World Series that starts this weekend.
What?
Yeah, College World Series. the Florida Gators are in the College World Series. Like, why wouldn't I listen? I actually watched, this is like an Emma record. I watched 5 hours of baseball last weekend, and I've never done that in my life. So,
Ew.
I know.
Ew.
We have the qualifiers for the Olympics all this month.
The NBA finals are on.
Yeah, NBA finals. Oh, we've got the hockey finals on right now. Panthers versus the Oilers.
It is. It's the summer of sports, but it's the summer of soccer, part 1.
Most
Again,
importantly.
part 1. And then, yeah, after this, we have the Olympics. We've got the U23 teams for the men's and then the full women's teams. I don't know about England, but US is in both. So
Well, they won't win.
it'll be good stuff. But the 2 big soccer tournaments that are happening this year are the Euros and Copa America. And so those are our predictions, our previews of both of those tournaments here in the summer of soccer. I'm excited. We're going to have, like, starting Friday, a month of soccer in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. It's going to be
Non-stop. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great, but it's also probably not good for my health that I'll be sitting in front of the TV all day. But
Me neither.
I love it. I love it so much. All right. Emma Adams, our Xander's Facts soccer guru who predicted the Copa America and the Euros with us. Thank you so much once again for sharing your facts, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. I hope I get them right. And we'll change the name to Emma's Facts after the month.
That will never happen. Goodbye.
Zander's Facts.
Oh boy. Thanks once again to Emma Adams, our Xander's Facts soccer guru, for coming on the podcast this week, episode 139. Now you have all the facts you need to get ready for the summer of soccer we got going on, with the Euros starting on Friday, Copa America starting next Thursday, and they both last almost a month until the 14th of July. I'm super excited, y'all. France is going to win the Euros. Don't know about Netherlands, maybe, but we all know Argentina is going to win Copa America now. So there you have it. Y'all have got all the facts. And just a reminder that the Euros and Copa America on the telly, if you'd like to watch, can be watched in the US on Fox Sports, Fox and FS1, and in Spanish on Univision. So those are all the facts that we have for episode 139 of the podcast. Thank you all so much for listening, for tuning in for those 2 hours plus of facts. We had a lot of them this week, y'all. Just a reminder before we go that if you liked all the facts we had on this week's podcast, remember to follow this podcast on your podcasting app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening. Download this episode to your device. That is probably the most impactful way that we spread the facts, so make sure you do that. You can delete it the next day. Rate and review the podcast. Check us out on all the socials, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Xander's Facts. That's Xander with a Z. Reminder, you can also follow Emma on Instagram at emmaa.adams, and she is running the Xander's Facts new soccer Twitter account, Xander's Facts SC. Go drop a follow on the Twitter. And also make sure you go check out the links in this episode's description. We have a link for the YouTube channel for Xander's Facts. All our new episodes, including this one, get posted to YouTube with a nice background, so go check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the Xander's Weekend Facts link on Substack. That is our newsletter that comes out every Sunday morning. It has got a recap of the week's top headlines. You can get it in your email inbox every Sunday morning. You can sign up if you haven't already been getting the emails to your inbox for free in the link in this episode's description. And also make sure to check out the Xander's Facts link tree, because that is a site that has all the Xander's Facts links that you need. It is linked as well in this episode's description. A lot of facts for episode 139. Summer of soccer, y'all. How about that? Make sure to tune in when we drop episode 140 of this podcast in the near future. But that is a wrap on episode 139 of the podcast. Thank you all for listening to this week's edition of the Xander's Facts podcast.
We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.